Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, January 24th. There's almost 400 albums coming out this week. I got 10 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, almost 400 albums coming out this week. I'm only going to talk about 10 of them on the show though today, so if something I don't talk about you're looking forward to, make sure you drop me a comment down below, let me know what that is. Like always, if you're unable to find these in your local brick and mortar stores, they should all be available online. I'll put links down below in the comments section. You can also always go over to the Vinyl Den store on Amazon. Pre-orders are on there, new releases are on there, all sorts of cool stuff to check out. So for me, the big release this week is definitely going to be this Blink-182 One More Time Part 2 that's coming out. So this is a deluxe edition of their 2023 album, which it was one of my favorite albums that year when it was released. Of course, I'm a big Blink-182 fan, but I like the way they're doing this deluxe edition. So there's two different versions of this. There's a 2LP version. It's going to run you about $38. It's on blue vinyl. So what is on that 2LP version is the original album plus the 10 new tracks. And then there's a 1LP version. It's going to be on red vinyl. It's a little cheaper. It's going to run you around $32. And that's just the 10 additional bonus tracks. It was the band's third number one album here in the U.S. behind Take Off Your Pants and Jacket and California, which was the first album with Matt Skiba. You know, this is the band's first album since Tom DeLonge came back. I knew it was going to sell well. It was a huge album when it was released. It was number one or number two in a lot of countries. I'm not a huge fan of these deluxe editions, though, because, you know, now granted, a lot of the deluxe editions that have come out over the last several years, there's only like 2, maybe 3 additional tracks on. You're getting almost a whole nother album's worth of material on here. If you get 10 tracks to release, just release it as a new album. Don't do it as a part 2 to the original album. I don't know. Just one of those stupid things that kind of irritates me. But of course, I've got it on pre-order. And then you've also got a Complete Unknown soundtrack coming out this week. This is the soundtrack to the Bob Dylan biopic that just recently came out, which I absolutely loved. I get it. There's always going to be some dramatization to Bob Dylan's life, just like there is in any biopic. I think they do a really good job representing that early period in Bob's career. I really enjoyed it. It's been one of my favorite movies I've seen this year. But what this is just the Timothy Chalamet tracks that he did in the movie. So there are only 16 tracks on here, which he did a great job singing these songs. I didn't really know, actually when I first saw it, I didn't even know it was him singing it. I thought it was somebody that had come in, make it sound like Bob Dylan, and then he was just kind of lip syncing with it. Even though I know Timothy Chalamet can sing, but I didn't know he could sing like that. I was really impressed with his ability in the movie and on these songs. My issue with this release is, if you're going to release this, just release the full soundtrack. If you go, the CD version, which comes out in February, has 23 tracks on it. You go on streaming services, all 23 tracks are there. These are just the 16 Bob Dylan tracks. But it is a 1LP release. It's on red vinyl. It's going to run you around $32. It's another album I'm looking forward to. I've got a pre-order in for that one already also. There's also the Verve This Is Music, the singles coming out this week. So this came out back in 2004. It's a 2LP release. It's going to run you around $38. So this is a compilation of all the band's singles from 1992 to 1998. So when this was released back in 2004, there was 2 unreleased songs that they included on there. Those are not on this release. They actually took those 2 songs off, replaced them with 2 songs from the band's 2008 reunion album. And I guess the only other big difference between this and the original release is the original version had the 5-minute radio edit of She's a Superstar. This has the full 8-minute version of it, so kind of keep that in mind also. It's the first time it's ever been available on vinyl. You know, they're one of those bands I need to check out more because I love Urban Hymns. I've been listening to that album for, 25 plus years. But to be honest, I never really dug into the band's discography after that. But so I definitely need to check that one out, and their other albums also. Then you got the new album from Larkin Poe coming out this week. This is Bloom. It's their 7th studio album. It's going to run you about $25. There's a yellow version of this. There's also a black and white splatter version. It's going to be the indie exclusive. If you're unfamiliar with Larkin Poe, they're a great up-and-coming blues rock band if you haven't checked them out. They've got some folk influence on there. There's some southern rock influence on there also. They've got some Americana stuff on there. if you like, you can't go wrong with any of their albums. They've already got 4 singles that have come off this one. I've listened to all 4 of them. It's definitely an album I'm looking forward to this week. So the 2 founding members of this band are sisters. I guess they got the name from their great grandfather, which I think is kind of cool. Check them out if you're looking for a new band to listen to. There's also a reissue of 15 by Buckcherry coming out this week. This was released back in 2005. It was their 3rd studio album. Gonna run you around $48. It's this 2 LP expanded edition that they're releasing for the 20th anniversary. So even though their debut album was very successful, and they had a couple hits off their debut album, I think this was the album that really kind of made them a household name. Crazy Bitch was a huge crossover success. I think people kind of forget that there were 3 other tracks or 3 other singles off this album that got a lot of radio airplay. I didn't know something until just recently that the name of the album actually comes from the number of days it took them to record it. And this expanded edition comes with a 2nd LP of all alternate versions and acoustic tracks. I'm not a huge Buckcherry fan, but it's definitely an album I need to revisit. It's been a long time since I've listened to that one. Then you've also got a reissue of the 2023 RSD version of Mr. Big's self-titled debut album coming out this week. This came out back in 1989. It's going to run you around $36. This is going to be on black vinyl, whereas the RSD version was on blue. I know Addicted to That Rush was the only single the band released off this album, but there are some other classic Mr. Big tracks on this album, like Rock and Roll Over, which is one of my favorite tracks from the band. This is the album that really, I think, laid the groundwork for what they would do over the next couple of albums. Lean Into It, I think, is a better album overall, but it's a cool one to grab if you didn't grab an RSD version of it. There's also Mixed Bag by Richie Havens coming out this week. This was released back in 1966. It was his debut studio album. It's going to run you around $30. Richie is one of those Woodstock icons. His career didn't really take off until after the festival, and he was the musician that opened the festival up. He played this like hour-long set because the acts that were supposed to play after him were tied up in traffic and weren't there yet. It worked on his benefit because his career really took off from there. Actually, when Richie died in 2013, his request was to be cremated and have his ashes spread over the original site of Woodstock. And actually, the day they did it was the 44th anniversary of the last day of the festival in '69. I love Richie Havens, but I have never really listened to one of his full albums. Actually, I just streamed this one within the last couple of days, and it's really good. I think it's kind of widely seen as the best album he ever put together. But I'll always remember Richie for that classic Woodstock performance. I think it's one of my favorite live performances of all time. Then you've also got John Lee Hooker, It Serve You Right to Suffer. This was released back in 1966. This is part of the Verve Acoustic Sound Series. These are mastered from the original analog tapes. They're pressed at QRP. The whole process is overseen by Chad Kassem from Acoustic Sounds. These are always great sounding albums. It's going to run you around $39 online. This is an iconic album from one of the most iconic bluesmen of all time. But this is the first time that John ever worked with a jazz backing band. He always worked with blues musicians. But Impulse wanted to, at least the way I understand it, is they wanted to expand the boundaries of both jazz and blues. So they paired John Lee Hooker with a jazz backing band. And the album ended up being this perfect balance of this improvisation from the jazz backing band and the power of John Lee Hooker's playing style. And then rounding out the list this week are 2 jazz albums. The first one was Sonny Clark Trio. This came out back in 1958. This is one of the best jazz albums of all time, in my opinion. I love this one. Sonny did so many great albums across his career. Of course, Dial S for Sonny is another great one. What's Cool Struttin'? I've got that also. My Conception. I think those are 3 of my favorites from him. But this is, I think, the best of what he ever did. It really makes me wonder, where his career might have went had he not died at age 31 in 1963, which was really tragic. But, he had a really short career, but he had some great albums in there. He's got Paul Chambers on here. He's got Philly Joe Jones on drums. It is a great album. If you're not familiar with it, definitely make sure you check that one out. And the last one on my list is Freddy Hubbard, Keep Your Soul Together. This came out back in 1973. So this is a music on vinyl release. So it's limited to 1,000 copies. It's going to be on translucent pink vinyl. It's going to run you about $40. This album is a little different from anything else that Freddie had released before. This has more of a soul and funk influence that he didn't really have before on any of his albums. But other than Ron Carter and Junior Cook, I don't think I know any of the other musicians on this album. So it's definitely one I need to go back through and check out. I'm not all that familiar with it. I will say that if you're interested in grabbing this title, it is a music on vinyl release. They're pressed in the Netherlands, so it typically takes a week or so before they're released here in the US. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. You know, I've already got that Blink-182 on pre-order. I've got that Complete Unknown soundtrack on order. I'll probably grab that Richie Havens. I might grab that Buckcherry. We'll see what I end up grabbing this week. But let me know what you guys are looking forward to. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.